Every relationship teaches you something, even the short ones. Some people bring comfort, others bring growth, and a few change your life completely. That's no accident. It's written in your energy and theirs. In astrology, that energetic exchange is called synastry, the cosmic blueprint of how two souls connect, collide, and evolve. So, in this video, I'm going to be giving you an overview of what synastry is and how it can show you the intricacies of your relationships with others. So, if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If this is our first time meeting, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and sound therapist, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you're new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. And speaking of which, welcome back to Love and Astrology. 30 days to understand your cosmic chemistry. All right. So before we get into the details of today's video, I just want to talk about the logistics of everything that's going on. Right. So this is a 30-day series all about love and relationships and astrology, one of our favorite topics, right? And so basically, I will be coming to your feed every night for 30 days. All right. And so this week, we're kicking off a brand new week all about compatibility, essentially how your planets connect with someone else's. All right, so tune in every night at 7 p.m. Eastern, where I'll be dropping a new video. And of course, you don't have to tune in at that time. If you're probably finding this at a different time, just know that the playlist is available for you so that you can watch these videos at your convenience. All right. And if you want to know more about your personal relationship style, how you show up in relationships, then you'll definitely want to take the free seduction style quiz. It basically lets you know your relationship archetype. And if you want to take that quiz, the link will be in the description box below. It's really fun, it's really cute, and you also get a PDF guide that definitely helps you understand your Venus sign, your Mars sign, and your seduction style. So definitely hit the link in the description box below for that. All right. And if you're ready to start reading your own chart and maybe even others, then you'll want to sign up for the wait list for my self-paced course called Charted. Okay. This is my course where I teach you exactly how to decode these cosmic connections yourself. So whether you want to understand your chart, someone else's, how you tick, how charts work generally, and you want to do it at your own pace, Charted is definitely for you. So the link to join the waitlist is in the description box below. And if you're ready to take things further and you want all the bells and whistles, then you will want to sign up for my signature natal chart experience called the Blueprint. We go through your natal chart from soup to nuts. All right. So you know exactly who you are, why you're here, and what you are here to do. Not even that, you get a dedicated online client portal where you will have access to different resources. Plus, you will get a 30-day money map or maybe even a relationship map, depending on what's going on for you, so that you know exactly what to do and when to do it 30 days post reading. So it's a whole vibe, baby. So if you are interested in that, the first step for that would be to sign up for a free clarity call. That way, we'll know whether this service is right for you or not, and if so, how to get started. And you can book that clarity call in the description box below. All right. So that's basically the logistics of this series and everything I've got going on at DFW right now. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic, which is all about synastry. So, first and foremost, I'd like you to think about and meditate on this core idea. Synastry reveals how two charts and two hearts talk to each other. It's not about fate, it's more so about fit. When we overlay two birth charts, we see how one person's planets activate another's. Those connections can show attraction, they can show tension, and they can show long term potential. So, essentially, anything that you want to know about a relationship. And keep in mind, even though this series does focus heavily on romantic relationships, these concepts can be applied to any relationship. And that's no exception when it comes to synastry. You can look at synastry charts between you and your lover, you and your sister, you and your boss, you and your pet, even, right? It's basically just the comparison of two birth charts that are in relation to each other. And the information that it can glean is invaluable. So when you want to know what the real deal is with your relationships, you would definitely look to synastry. All right. So, first, let's talk about the big three and what they mean for compatibility, right? So, the big three are your sun, your moon, and your rising. So, essentially, what happens when one of your big three, or maybe more than one of your big three, are in relation to someone else's big three, right? So, first, let's say that your sun connects with someone else's sun or moon, all right? This is sort of an overall vibe and emotional comfort. Now, a lot of people have said that in synastry, when their sun touches someone else's sun or moon, it really gives friendship, it really gives like this base level comfortability, right? Next, let's say your Venus is in relation to someone's Mars. This can denote chemistry and sexual attraction. And then let's say your ascendant is in relation to or connecting to someone else's descendant. Now, if you're not sure what the descendant is, I literally just did a video about it the other day. I'll link that in the description box below so you can check that out. But if you've got ascendant and descendant synastry, that can denote mutual magnetism and mirror energy. All right, this list is obviously not exhaustive, but it's just to give you sort of a little flavor of what it's like when your big three can connect to someone else's big three. So now let's talk about harmonious aspects. Now, this could be between any planets in your charts. So this is when you have a planet that's either trine or sextile to someone else's. And this can denote natural understanding, shared rhythm, and or easy flow. All right, you feel seen and safe being yourself. These kind of aspects, they really foster peace and harmony above all else. They can also foster opportunities for peace, harmony, and positivity in relationships. All right. And again, that could speak to any planet that you have in your natal chart that is making a positive aspect to someone else's planets in their natal chart. Okay. Now, let's talk about challenging aspects for a second. Now, this could be squares, oppositions, or sometimes even conjunctions. All right. So let's say you have Venus square. Venus in your chart is squaring Saturn in someone else's, or maybe it is Mars in your chart opposite Pluto in someone else's. Okay. This can denote chemistry, but also contrast. It could lead to tension that ignites growth or friction. Okay. These aspects aren't bad by any stretch of the imagination, they're actually catalytic. So rather than when you think about, or when I like to think about like trines and sextiles, they're the easygoing kind of aspects. That means that things between you and this person can be easy like Sunday morning, right? It could just really flow. But then you'll have these aspects between you two that are tension filled. Like they can be squares, oppositions, or even conjunctions, depending on what the planets are. They can be starters, they can be catalysts to change, to transformation, to other things, to personal growth, right? So they're not bad, they're just a little more dramatic. I like to think of them that way. So all is not lost if you're looking at your chart and someone else's and you're like, oh my gosh, it's full of squares. Or we've got so many oppositions, right? Now, whether that is determinative of The success of a relationship remains to be seen, but you can be sure that in that kind of situation, there's a lot going on between you two, and there's a lot of friction. There could be contrast, there could be fighting, there could just be explosions, right? Those aren't necessarily bad things. And it sort of speaks to, and I want to go on a tangent a little bit, so indulge me if you will. The overall, when we talk about relationships overall, right? I think that society really conditions us to see things in black and white. Either it is or it isn't, it's good or it's bad. Relationships are a mirror, right? They really show us us. And relationships are not meant to always be straight out of a romance novel. They're not always meant to be a rom-com. They're not even always meant to be dramas or action series, right? Sometimes people come into our lives for a season, and the synastry between you two will show that. Not necessarily what season, like time-wise, but the fact that this person is here to ignite something within you, you can definitely see that in your synastry charts, right? Also, there, just because you are experiencing hardship in relationships, number one, doesn't mean it's always going to last. Number two, it could literally be for your growth. So, above all else, I want you to I wanted to say start, but stop thinking about relationships in very linear terms and start thinking about relationships in terms of growth, in terms of what they are here to show you and to teach you about yourself. That's where compatibility really starts to make sense. Because a lot of pop astrology, a lot of this, just clickbait or even short form content will have you thinking that compatibility is so black and white. If you're this sun sign and they're this moon sign, you're compatible, or maybe you're not. And it goes so much deeper than that. I've probably said this before, but I will definitely be saying it throughout this series. Compatibility is not a matter of just we go together or we don't. Again, it's not a black and white kind of thing. It's this is the energy between us. This is the story of us. Now, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to work with it? Are we going to say, okay, this is not for me and I'm going to walk away from it? But the more informed you are about the energy between you and someone else, the better decisions you can make and the better actions that you can take. It's really that simple. So when you start, because invariably when you're on your journey to learning astrology, right? And you start learning about the planets and you start learning about aspects in your own natal chart, right? And of course, if you want to know more about this, get on the wait list for Charted because that's where you can learn all of that. You start learning and then you start looking at your chart and you're like, well, damn, I've got a lot of squares in my chart, or I have a lot of oppositions. And then you start labeling these things as bad. This is a bad aspect in my natal chart. This is a bad aspect of my life. It's not. It's what it is, and what you do with that energy is up to you. You can use it to change your life completely, or you can sit and you can sulk and you'll just say, oh, my life sucks. And it's the same thing with relationships and the same thing with synastry. So compatibility isn't just we're compatible or we're not. This is the information, and we decide whether we are compatible or not. We decide what actions we take in terms of our compatibility. All right. So I just want to put that out there so that I want you to understand sort of my view on relationships and compatibility, but how I teach this material as well. All right. So let us keep it moving. So now let's talk about key planetary pairings to watch. Okay. So these are certain planets when you have synastry with someone with respect to these planets. This is sort of what you can expect. And again, this list is not exhaustive by any means necessary. All right. So let's say moon and moon, you and this person have synastry between your moons. There's definitely an emotional sync here. There's definitely an emotional connection. Now, whether you value an emotional connection in relationships is up to you. I'm not going to say that that is good, that's bad, but relationships do evoke emotions. And if you have an emotional sync with somebody, that can say a lot about the nature of your relationship. Okay. Next, let's say you've got Venus and Saturn in synastry with someone else. This can denote loyalty and timing. This is also a very challenging kind of pairing. because Saturn brings obstacles, challenges, and delays. But Venus and Saturn, I love to see that in synastry because it can denote commitment, it can denote long term relationships, of course, if that is something that you want. Next, we've got Venus and Neptune pairing up, and this is romance versus illusion. Venus and Neptune is the ultimate romance novel kind of energy. However, it can be quite unrealistic. So, in terms of synastry, when you're experiencing something like this with someone, this could be, having this idea of a relationship that doesn't necessarily live up to the reality. Not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're looking for longevity, if you're looking for real stability in relationships, Venus and Neptune can keep things interesting, but not necessarily long lasting or realistic. Okay. Let's say you've got a Venus and Pluto pairing between you and someone else. This denotes passion, intensity, and transformation. This is one of those pairings that is very catalytic. Okay. It is very change, transformative, starting something, sparking something in your life. This could be lots of passion, but it could also bring things like obsession, manipulation, all the things that we don't necessarily want in relationships, but we kind of do because it brings drama and it brings the things that society teaches you relationships should have or that do have, right? But either way, Venus and Pluto, very intense, passionate, and transformative. And then let's say you've got Venus and Uranus sort of paired up in terms of synastry. This is freedom, surprise, and unpredictability. If you're looking for stable, quiet, easygoing, Venus and Uranus pairing up is not that at all. It is people wanting space, people just taking random trips, people just doing things by themselves, sudden changes, you're off, you're on, you're hot, you're cold. It could just be a lot of that. And if you're someone who craves excitement, then this is definitely for you. However, if you're not, this could lead to a lot of frustration and burnout. All right. So keep that in mind. And again, that list wasn't meant to be exhaustive, but it's meant to sort of, scratch the surface in terms of synastry and what you can sort of expect when you look at your chart compared to someone else's. All right. And in this week's videos, we'll unpack each of these Venus pairings one by one so you can understand why certain people light you up while others teach you lessons. Synastry isn't about prediction, it's more so about awareness. It helps you see what the connection is and what the connection is asking of both of you to learn. Okay. I want you to take this concept to heart that synastry is about learning. Oftentimes, I've seen quite a bit in certain posts where people are like, oh, not that they demonize astrology, but they say astrology can allow you to manipulate people because you know them now, you know how they tick. And yes, it could be used for that, but the baseline is that it's to learn someone, right? Oftentimes, in relationships, people don't come with an instruction manual, right? They don't come telling you exactly what they need, when they need it, who they are, because sometimes they're still figuring that out. And that's the beauty of astrology. It kind of is like that instruction manual. And you have one for yourself, which is your natal chart. And then you have one for relationships, which is your synastry chart. And that's the beauty of it. And again, when you can be well informed, you make better decisions and take better actions. And that is the purpose of all of this. So now let's pause for a moment of reflection and self inquiry. So here's your reflection for today. I want you to think about a relationship that changed you. And it could be a profound change, could be a small change, but it changed you nonetheless. Was it ease that taught you? Or was it tension and, drama that taught you? Synastry reminds us that every connection is a mirror for growth. So think about the times that you've changed in relationships and what sparked that change. And if that spark was a relationship, was it a relationship that gave you peace after decades of chaos? Or was it a relationship that brought chaos into your life to facilitate change? Take some time to think about, reflect, and journal on that. If you want to explore your own relationship compatibility, Then start with the free seduction style quiz. It'll show you your Venus energy. So it'll show you how you draw people in. And when you know how you draw people in, that's definitely the first step before moving on to Synastry. All right. So if you want to take that quiz, the link is in the description box below. And if you're ready to decode your entire chart and learn how Synastry really works, then join the charted waitlist. All right. Again, that's my self paced course that I will be releasing in the very near future. So if you want to know when that drops, the link to join the waitlist is in the description box below. And as always, you can join us over in Cosmic Collective, which is my private online community where we dive into real chart examples every week during Cosmic Chemistry Fridays. I like to call those as like my office hours. So we go deeper into the week's topics. You can ask questions even about your natal chart. And there's a great community of people who not only want to learn astrology, but can teach astrology by example as well. So if you're interested in that, you can either snap a picture of the QR code that is on the screen right now, or hit the link in the description box to join. All right, my love. So that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video on Synastry. Now, I did a video a while back on some Synastry pairings and sort of the most popular ones and what they mean. So I'll leave the link to the description box. I'll leave the link to that in the description box below so you can check that out to get a little more information on this topic. And of course, if you definitely want to know more about Synastry, join us over in Cosmic Collective. All right. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So join me tomorrow where we'll discuss Venus and the moon and what they have to say about emotional compatibility. You're definitely not going to want to miss that one. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.